So his show airs every day at 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon right here on Channel 4. Dr. Oz, of course, covers everything from finding out, well, what's in sugar-free foods, to crime stories, to the importance of the National Night of Conversation, facing addiction over dinner. Joining me now, right now on the morning show is Dr. Oz. Good morning to you, Dr. Oz. Thanks for joining us. Do appreciate it. I'd like to, we have so much to talk about because you have so many just fantastic topics that you'll be discussing in the next week or so on Dr. Oz. I want to start with this conversation and the importance of having it over dinner. And we're not talking about your day at school with the kids, but something much more important.
Well, on Thursday night, we're having our second annual Facing Addiction Over Dinner request. And here's the deal. In America, the #1 cause of accidental death in folks between ages of 20 and 65 is drugs and related problems. So the Surgeon General on Thursday is releasing the first ever report on addiction in America. We've teamed up with him, the White House, and many other groups to create a very simple little guide for families to use to talk about drugs. Now, parents don't think their kids listen to them, but we were all kids once, and we do actually hear what the parents say, even if we don't acknowledge it. The #1 way we can get kids to hold off on trying drugs is to have these discussions. And we don't want you going there and browbeating them and lecture them. That's not going to work. We've got a sort of elegant way of sort of warming things up, asking if kids are having problems in school, are their friends exposed to drugs, and maybe they'll open up if they feel comfortable. But at least they'll know that this is a big issue and you're there for them. So we've got a little document you can download at droz.com. Or any of the agencies that I mentioned before for the U.S. government. Let's just talk about it with our kids and make a dent in this devastating epidemic.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because, I mean, I think the reality is that having because people are so busy, and you see this all the time because it's part of many of the topics that you share with our viewers, is that people are so busy that just even sitting down and having a conversation, around the dinner table doesn't really happen as much as it should.
It doesn't, which is why we're actually asking folks to post a picture of an empty plate. Not a plate with food on it, but an empty plate, because the conversation is more important than the meal this night. But it is important that all of us remember what you're saying, which is that food used to be sacred. And all month long, we're talking about the reality that there are food hacks and all kinds of fun things about food that you can do it's sort of an all-access food pass. But that stated, fundamentally, food wasn't about all that. It was about bringing us together and allowing us to feel like we're one. And we've got to get back to that at least one day a year so we can talk about things that are life-threatening, like drugs, especially in young kids.
You know, what's interesting, too, is because of the topics that you cover, I mean, you have something like this, drug addiction, and yet you can, because you have a cadre of experts, at your fingertips, quite frankly, other topics that you're discussing, for example, even, tonight is about steaks. We always make these assumptions when we go to the supermarket, moving from kind of a harder topic to something that is more of a, something that we see every day, is you're picking out steaks, and what's in your steaks, as an example?
Well, this is a little lighter of a topic. And the good news, by the way, is we've got some great hacks here. But let me just quickly cover the fact that sometimes the steak you're buying has been frozen. We're going to show you how to figure that out. It turns out that they can change the best buy dates and all those numbers and letters in the back. They can change that without telling you, and it's legal. So you really have to be a detective on your meat. But here's the big deal. You don't have to overpay for meat. The best chefs, and I had a bunch on the show this week, are all about the fact that you can get value. So don't buy filet mignon. It's an expensive cut of beef. It doesn't have a ton of flavor to it. Instead, buy skirt steak. Skirt steak is inexpensive. With a little marinade we're going to show you how to make. You can make a $5 cut of meat. It tastes like it's a $50 cut of meat. Restaurants use it because it tastes better for most folks. My own kids prefer skirt steak when I give them the choice because it tastes better. And you can make it with all the tools we're going to give you and a bunch of hacks like that to make it taste fabulous.
Dr. Oz, thank you so much. Looking forward to the show. Certainly not just tonight, but also on Thursday night, an important discussion around the dinner table. Have a good day. Appreciate it. And don't forget, right after the morning show, you can keep the TV on for Dr. Oz at 10 o'clock in the morning and then again back in the afternoon at 4 o'clock.